They just wanted to celebrate Halloween. A group of black teenagers in ghost costumes, laughing, dancing, living their best night. Until flashing lights and shouting officers turned it into a nightmare. What happened next would expose the ugliest side of power and end some police careers for good. Stay tuned till the end, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real, emotional stories that reveal the truth behind the mask. It was late October, and the air carried that crisp electric chill that only Halloween could bring. Pumpkins glowed on doorsteps. The streets were alive with chatter, and everywhere you looked, there was laughter mixed with the faint scent of caramel and smoke from distant bonfires. In the heart of Oak Ridge, a small, suburban town where everyone thought they knew everyone, 5 black teenagers were gearing up for the night of their lives. They called themselves the Ghost Squad. It wasn't just a name, it was a bond. Malik, Jordan, Devin, Andre, and Chris. They'd been best friends since middle school, a group of tight-knit kids who shared dreams bigger than their small-town reality. Malik, the quiet genius of the group, was the son of a billionaire tech mogul, Marcus Cole. But Malik never showed it off. He wanted to live normally, to be one of the boys, to laugh, to sneak out late at night, to do stupid teenage things without being seen as the rich kid. That night, they decided to throw a small Halloween get-together in an open field near the town's old water tower, a local hangout spot away from adults, rules, and drama. Music blasted from a Bluetooth speaker. Glowing masks and ghost costumes swayed under the flickering light of hanging lanterns. There was nothing but fun, laughter, ghost stories, and harmless dares. Devin, the joker of the group, wore a white sheet with eye holes cut out, classic ghost style. Jordan had sprayed his mask with glow-in-the-dark paint that made it light up in the dark, while Andre had gone full creative, dressing as a ghostly reaper with a cardboard scythe. Chris had brought snacks, Malik brought the speaker, and together they made the place come alive. "Yo, this vibe is perfect," Devin shouted over the music. Jordan grinned. "See? Who needs a club when you got the field, the squad, and fire beats?" Malik smiled quietly, looking at his friends. "This is it," he said. "This is what Halloween's supposed to be about. No drama, no hate, just us." But fate had a cruel sense of timing. Down the road, a patrol car rolled past. 2 officers, Sergeant Doyle and Officer Kane, noticed the flashing lights in the field. Doyle slowed the car. "What's that? Looks like some kind of party," Kane squinted. "Yeah, probably some kids. Let's check it out." In Oak Ridge, it was unspoken, but everyone knew. The police rarely stopped white kids at their Halloween parties. But a group of black teenagers in masks? That was enough to raise suspicion in their eyes. The cruiser's red and blue lights sliced through the night like sharp blades. The music stopped. The laughter faded. The teenagers turned, squinting against the headlights. "Yo, what the hell?" Devin muttered. Jordan whispered. "Cops, just stay chill." Sergeant Doyle stepped out first, flashlight beam cutting through the air. "Hey, what's going on here?" he barked. Malik stepped forward calmly, hands visible. "Evening, sir. We're just hanging out. It's Halloween. We're not causing any trouble." Doyle's lip curled. "Hanging out, huh? Out here, in the dark? You kids think you can just do whatever you want." Kane joined in, his tone mocking. "What are you supposed to be, ghosts?" Guess that fits. You're all out here sneaking around like spooks." The word hit them like a punch. They froze. Devin's smile disappeared. Jordan's jaw tightened. Malik's hands curled into fists, but he kept calm. "Sir," Malik said carefully, "we're not doing anything wrong. We're just celebrating. Don't talk back to me." Doyle snapped, stepping closer. "You think I don't see what's happening here? Some gang meetup? Drugs? What's in those bags?" Andre lifted a bag of chips. "Snacks," he said flatly. "Smart mouth, huh?" Doyle barked again, eyes narrowing. "Take off those masks, now." The boys hesitated. Halloween night or not, something about the officer's tone made it feel dangerous. They slowly removed their masks. The moment their faces showed, Doyle's scowl deepened. "Yep," he muttered. "Figures." Malik swallowed hard. "Sir, please, shut it!" Doyle shouted, pointing his flashlight straight at Malik's face. "You think because you talk nice, you're better than me?" Jordan took a step forward. Back off, man. We didn't do nothing. Kane instantly reached for his holster. Step back, boy. The tension exploded. Malik quickly raised his voice, trembling but strong. Nobody move. Don't give them a reason! The officers stood there, guns not drawn but hands hovering over them, their shouts echoing through the empty field. The boys didn't move, didn't breathe too loud, didn't blink wrong. Then Doyle leaned in close to Malik. Go home. All of you. And next time, don't bring your little hood gang into my town. He smirked, eyes glinting under the flashlight. You hear me, boy? The word boy burned. Malik didn't answer. Doyle spat at the ground. Yeah, that's what I thought. Get lost. The squad gathered their things in silence, their joy drained into anger and disbelief. The music that once made the night feel alive now felt like a funeral tune. As they walked back toward their cars, Devin whispered, I should have said something. Jordan's voice trembled. And get shot? Nah, man. They wanted that. Andre shook his head. We didn't do anything wrong. Malik stayed quiet. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from fury. When he got home, he went straight to his father's office. Marcus Cole, a man known for being calm, strategic, and powerful, looked up from his desk when his son entered. Malik? You okay? Malik's voice cracked as he told him everything. Every word, every insult, every look. When he finished, Marcus sat in silence for a long time. Then he said quietly, Give me their names. Malik hesitated. Dad, names, son, Malik told him. And that was the moment the game changed. Within hours, calls were made. Cameras retrieved. Legal teams contacted. Marcus Cole wasn't just a billionaire. He was a man with influence. A man who knew how to move power quietly and effectively. The next morning, footage from a nearby security camera surfaced on every major network. It showed two officers harassing unarmed black teenagers, shouting, mocking, and intimidating them for simply existing in a park. The town of Oak Ridge erupted, and as the sun rose, Malik sat on his porch, scrolling through his phone. Every news outlet was playing the same clip. Every comment section was flooding with rage. His father stood beside him, silent, watching the fallout unfold. For the first time since that night, Malik smiled faintly. Not out of revenge, but because justice, at last, was being seen. The next few days in Oak Ridge were nothing short of chaos. The town, once known for its quiet streets, family picnics and pumpkin festivals, was now the center of a national storm. News vans lined the streets, microphones swarmed City Hall, and every local social media page was flooded with the same headline: Black teens harassed by police on Halloween night. Entire incident caught on camera. The video, leaked anonymously but clearly tied to Marcus Cole's network, had gone viral within hours. It showed the officers' flashlights cutting across the teens' masks, their mocking tones, and worst of all, the racial slurs. No one could deny it. The evidence was raw, unfiltered, and devastating. At school, Malik and his friends became the center of attention, not because they wanted to be, but because they had to be. Whispers followed them down every hallway. Some students offered quiet nods of support. Others just stared. Devin slammed his locker shut one morning, frustration all over his face. Man, now everybody want to talk to us. They act like this is some TV drama. Andre sighed. Let them talk. They weren't the ones standing under that flashlight. Jordan shook his head, scrolling through his phone. It's all over TikTok now. Look at this. They calling us the Black Ghost Squad. Devin snorted. Sounds kind of badass, though. Malik forced a small smile, but his eyes were tired. He hadn't slept much. Reporters had camped outside his house for 2 days straight. His father's PR team tried to control the narrative, but the story had already taken on a life of its own. People weren't just angry, they were divided. Some citizens of Oak Ridge defended the officers, claiming they were just doing their job. Others were outraged, organizing peaceful protests outside the police department. Signs appeared overnight. Justice for the Halloween Five. End racism in Oak Ridge PD. We were just kids. The air was tense, charged like static before a thunderstorm. Meanwhile, inside the Oak Ridge Police Department, Sergeant Doyle sat across from the police chief, arms crossed and jaw tight. "You're suspending me?" he barked. Chief Reynolds sighed heavily, rubbing his temples. "Public pressure, Doyle, you know how it is. We need to investigate." "Investigate what? A bunch of troublemakers who shouldn't have been out there to begin with?" Reynolds glared. "You called them spooks on camera," Doyle scoffed. "I didn't mean it like that." "It doesn't matter how you meant it," the chief snapped. "It's how it looks. And it looks bad. Real bad." Doyle leaned forward. "You think I'm taking the fall for this? They're kids. Kids with masks." What was I supposed to think? Reynolds didn't answer. He just slid a paper across the desk. "You're on administrative leave. Effective immediately." Kane, sitting silently beside him, muttered, "This is ridiculous." But the chief didn't flinch. "It's justice." Across town, Malik sat in his father's office, staring at the dozens of messages lighting up Marcus's phone. Marcus had become a quiet storm, calm on the surface, deadly beneath. "Dad, did you leak the video?" Malik asked softly. Marcus looked up, eyes sharp. "The truth doesn't need leaking. It needs exposing. But now everyone's watching us." Marcus stood and walked to the window. "Good, let them watch. This isn't just about you, Malik. This is about every young man who gets treated like a threat for existing." Malik swallowed. "What happens now?" Marcus turned, his face unreadable. "Now, we show them what real accountability looks like." That evening, Marcus held a press conference in front of their house. Reporters crowded around as camera lights flashed. He spoke with the calm authority of a man used to commanding attention. "My son and his friends were targeted because of the color of their skin," he said. "They were harassed, humiliated, and disrespected on a night meant for joy. If this can happen to the son of a billionaire, imagine what happens to those without a platform." He paused, letting the silence linger. "This is not just about punishment. It's about change. We are filing a lawsuit against the Oak Ridge Police Department for racial profiling and emotional distress. We will not stop until justice is served, not just for Malik, but for every child who's ever been treated as less." The crowd erupted. Microphones thrust forward, voices shouted questions, flashbulbs popped like fireworks. And that's when Malik realized this was bigger than him, way bigger. Over the next week, rallies formed across nearby cities. Students organized marches wearing ghost masks in solidarity with the boys. The phrase "the Black Ghosts of Halloween" trended for days. Artists painted murals of the group in ghost costumes, glowing against dark city walls with words like, "We won't stay invisible." The Ghost Squad became a symbol, not of fear, but of resistance. But fame came with its own shadows. Chris started getting anxious at school. Devon couldn't sleep, haunted by the memory of those flashlight beams. Jordan avoided interviews altogether, refusing to relive the moment. And Malik felt the weight of everything on his shoulders. Reporters didn't want them. They wanted him. The billionaire's son. The boy with the powerful father. The one with the story everyone could sell. He hated it. He didn't want power. He wanted peace. A week later, a city council meeting was held, open to the public. Protesters gathered outside. Inside, cameras rolled as officials discussed the future of the police department. Doyle and Kane sat stiffly in the back row, avoiding the glares from the crowd. Marcus and Malik sat in the front. The mayor, visibly nervous, addressed the room. "We have reviewed the footage, the testimonies, and the public response," she began. "And effective immediately, both officers involved will be terminated. The Oak Ridge Police Department will undergo racial bias and de-escalation training. A formal apology will be issued to the families involved." Applause filled the chamber. Cameras zoomed in on Malik's face, calm but reflective. Marcus didn't clap. He just nodded slightly, knowing the first victory had been achieved. But he wasn't done. Later that night, Marcus called his lawyer. "I want full accountability," he said. "Not just for those officers. I want the system that enabled them to answer, too." Meanwhile, Doyle sat in a bar on the edge of town, nursing a drink, bitterness boiling in his voice. "They ruined me," he muttered to Kane. "Over what?" "Some kids with masks." Kane stared at his drink. "We crossed a line, man," Doyle sneered. don't start with that. You saw how they looked at us, like they were better. Kane didn't answer. He just kept staring into the glass. Because deep down, he knew Doyle was wrong. The world was changing. And for men like him, there was no going back. A few nights later, Malik found himself back at the field, the same one where it all started. The lanterns were gone, the grass was trampled, but the air felt different, quieter, lighter, freer. Devon, Andre, Jordan, and Chris joined him, each carrying something symbolic. A ghost mask, a flashlight, a speaker. Can't believe it's only been 2 weeks, Devon said softly. Feels like forever. Jordan looked around. We really changed something, huh? Malik smiled faintly. Maybe, but this isn't the end. Just the beginning. Andre dropped his mask to the ground. Then let's end it our way, Malik nodded. Yeah, one last song. They turned on the speaker. The same track from that night played again. Loud, defiant, alive. But this time, when the lights flickered in the distance, it wasn't police sirens. It was phones, cameras, and people, classmates, neighbors, strangers, joining them. The Ghost Squad's story had inspired others to show up, to reclaim the space where hate tried to silence them. And as the crowd grew, Malik stepped forward. Holding his mask, we wore these to have fun, he said, raising his voice. But now they mean something more. They remind us that no matter how invisible they try to make us, we will be seen. The crowd cheered, a mix of joy, pain, and pride. The Halloween that began as a nightmare had transformed into a message the whole world could hear. Far away, in an office downtown, Marcus Cole watched the footage live on TV. He didn't smile, but his eyes softened. For the first time, he saw not just his son, but a leader. He whispered to himself, maybe that's how change begins, not with power, but with courage. The storm had passed, but not the silence that followed. The world had seen the video, the protests had roared, and the statements had been made. Yet deep inside, Malik still felt something unfinished. The lawsuit was in motion. The officers were fired. The mayor had issued a formal apology, but none of it felt like closure. Malik couldn't shake off the memory of Sergeant Doyle's face. The cold smirk, the flashlight glare, the tone that made him feel small, humiliated, powerless. And that memory wouldn't fade with an apology. It was a gray Friday morning when Malik received a message from the police department's liaison, inviting him and his father to a private, restorative justice session. A controlled environment where both parties could speak face-to-face before the case officially closed. Marcus wasn't keen on it. You don't owe that man a word, he told Malik. But Malik's mind was made up. He needs to see me. Not as a mask, not as a headline, not as a ghost. Just me. Marcus hesitated, then nodded. Then we do it your way. The meeting took place in a small, neutral room inside City Hall. No cameras, no reporters, just truth waiting in the air like static before a storm. Doyle sat on one side of the table, pale, bitter, eyes heavy with exhaustion. His career was over. His pension was gone. His face had been plastered across every news channel in America. When Malik and Marcus walked in, Doyle flinched slightly. Marcus was calm, confident. Malik, though, carried an aura of quiet fire. No anger on his face, just something deeper, sharper, resolve. The facilitator, an older woman with a soothing voice, spoke first. We're here to allow both parties to speak and, if possible, to find closure. Mr. Cole, you may begin. Malik took a breath. His hands were trembling, but his voice was steady. You remember me? Doyle nodded stiffly. Yeah, Malik leaned forward. That night we were just kids. 5 black teenagers in ghost costumes. We weren't drinking. We weren't vandalizing anything. We were just living. And you looked at us like we were criminals. Doyle's jaw flexed. You were out late. Masks, loud music. On Halloween, Malik cut in sharply. The one night where everyone wears masks. But you didn't see costumes, did you? You saw color. Doyle looked away. Malik's voice rose slightly, his emotion finally cracking through. You made us feel like we didn't belong in our own town. You humiliated us for no reason, and I'll never forget the way you said it. My town, like we were intruding, like we were less than you. Doyle didn't respond. His silence spoke louder than words. Marcus finally leaned forward. Do you know what it feels like to see your child afraid to exist? To wonder if one wrong look, one wrong word might be his last? Doyle shifted uncomfortably. Look, I made mistakes, all right? I said things I shouldn't have. But I didn't mean for it to... Stop, Malik said quietly. Don't tell me you didn't mean it. You did. You meant every word. You just didn't expect the world to hear it. The room fell silent. Even the ticking of the clock seemed to pause. Malik's eyes softened slightly. You took our night away, but guess what? You didn't break us. You made us stronger. You made me see what kind of world I need to change. Doyle looked up, guilt flickering across his face for the first time. He swallowed hard. I can't undo what I did. I was raised in a place where things like that were normal. But seeing that video, hearing my own voice, I can't defend it anymore. For a moment, Malik saw something unexpected. Not pity, not arrogance, but shame. Real shame, he nodded slowly. Then remember it. Every time you see a black kid on the street, every time you think you know who they are before you talk to them, remember this. Doyle nodded faintly, eyes glistening. I will. The facilitator quietly closed her notebook. That's all for today. As Malik and Marcus stood to leave, Doyle whispered something, barely audible but sincere. I'm sorry. Malik stopped in the doorway. Don't say sorry to me, he said softly. Say it to every kid you ever made feel like I did. Then he walked out. Outside, the autumn wind swept through the streets, rustling the last orange leaves from the trees. Marcus looked at his son, pride and sadness mixing in his gaze. You handled that like a man, he said quietly. Malik shrugged. I didn't do it for him. I did it for us, Marcus smiled faintly. Still, you gave him something most people wouldn't. What's that? A chance to see what real strength looks like. That weekend, the Ghost Squad reunited again, this time not in the field, but at the community center where the town was hosting a Unity Halloween event, meant to rebuild what was broken. Kids ran around in costumes. Parents laughed. Police officers, new recruits, more diverse than before, handed out candy and helped set up games. Malik and his friends stood by the stage, watching the new generation celebrate without fear. Devin grinned. Guess we started something, huh? Jordan laughed. The Black Ghosts of Halloween. Local legends. Andre chuckled. Still sounds like a movie title. Chris smiled. It is. Just one we lived. Malik looked around, seeing how the same town that once saw them as threats was now cheering for them. For a moment, he felt the weight lift from his shoulders. He turned toward the stage, where the mayor stepped up to the microphone. This year, she said, we learned something powerful, that courage and truth can turn even the darkest night into a light for others. To Malik Cole and his friends, thank you for reminding Oak Ridge what justice really looks like. The crowd erupted in applause. Cameras flashed, but Malik didn't care about the fame anymore. He cared about the faces in the crowd, smiling, hopeful, free. As night fell and the lights dimmed, Malik put his ghost mask back on one last time. Devin noticed and laughed. Bro, you still carrying that? Malik smirked. Yeah, a reminder. Of what? He turned toward the sky, the stars reflecting in his mask's hollow eyes. That even ghosts can't stay invisible forever. A month passed since the night Malik faced Sergeant Doyle. The lawsuits, protests, and endless interviews had faded from the headlines. But the echo of that Halloween still lingered in Oak Ridge, not as fear, but as change. The field where it all began was no longer abandoned. The town council had renamed it Cole Unity Park, honoring Malik and his friends for standing against injustice with courage and dignity. Every weekend, children now played there under new streetlights, their laughter replacing the silence that once haunted that place. And on the tallest post near the entrance, a mural had been painted, 5 figures in glowing ghost masks standing side by side. Beneath it, in bold white letters, the words read, "We were seen." At school, things were different too. Teachers began holding open discussions about racial equality and bias, conversations that had been long overdue. The Ghost Squad had unintentionally become ambassadors for awareness. Though none of them ever asked for that role, Devin started speaking at youth events, using humor to break tension when talking about prejudice. Jordan joined the school's media club, making short films about social justice. Andre began sketching and painting, his artwork gaining recognition online. Chris started volunteering with local outreach programs, helping other kids learn their rights and how to stay safe. And Malik, he was no longer just the quiet, rich kid who wanted to blend in. He had become something more, a voice people listened to. One afternoon, he stood in front of a packed auditorium at Oak Ridge High. The school had invited him to speak about his experience, his lesson on courage, as the principal called it. Malik looked around the room. Some faces were familiar, others were new. But what mattered most was that they were all listening. When I was a kid, he began, I thought wearing a mask made me invisible. I thought if people didn't see my face, they wouldn't see color. I thought it would protect me. He paused, letting that truth sink in. But that night, I learned something different. It's not the masks that make us invisible. It's the fear of being seen. We hid because we thought it kept us safe. But being seen, truly seen, that's how change happens. The room was silent. Even the air seemed to listen. He smiled slightly. We didn't plan to start anything. We just wanted to have fun. But sometimes, the smallest moments, the ones that break you, are the ones that make you who you're supposed to be. Applause filled the hall, echoing like thunder. Malik exhaled, finally at peace. Later that evening, Malik and Marcus sat on the back porch, watching the sunset melt into the horizon. You proud of yourself? Marcus asked, sipping coffee. Malik smirked. Trying to be, Marcus chuckled. You should be. Most men spend their lives chasing power. You found something stronger. Purpose. Malik turned to him. You think Doyle really changed? Marcus looked out toward the trees. Maybe, maybe not. But you planted a seed, and that's how change starts. One seed at a time. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was peaceful, full of understanding. Malik leaned back, looking at the fading orange sky. You know what's crazy, Dad? What's that? If that night never happened, I don't think I'd know who I really was. Marcus smiled faintly. Sometimes the hardest nights show us the brightest truth. Halloween came around again the next year. The town held its first ever Unity Parade, an event celebrating diversity, peace, and second chances. The Ghost Squad led the march, wearing redesigned white and black ghost outfits, symbolizing balance. Kids cheered as they passed by. Parents waved. Even some of the new officers joined the parade, walking alongside them. At the end of the route, Malik stopped at the mural in Cole Unity Park and placed a small white rose beneath it. He closed his eyes for a moment, not in sadness, but gratitude. Devon walked up behind him. You still think about that night? Malik nodded. Yeah, but not like before. Now it's a reminder that we can turn pain into something powerful. Jordan grinned. Man, you sound like you're writing a movie speech again. Malik laughed. Maybe one day, Andre smirked. You'd better cast us right if you do, Chris laughed. Yeah, and make sure I get the good lighting this time. They all burst out laughing. It wasn't just friendship anymore, it was brotherhood. Born from fire and healed by faith. As fireworks lit up the night sky, Malik looked around at his friends, his family, and the thousands of people celebrating below. He thought about the word ghost, how it once meant fear, invisibility, silence. But now it meant something new. Strength, unity, legacy. He whispered softly to himself, smiling, We're not ghosts anymore.